Oh no, I didn't.
That's very sweet.
Oh, right.
Somehow.
Well, it looks just like your rolled.
In my studio. Yeah. Dann brauche ich noch. Sorry. Anybody speak German?
Yeah, that's it.
Ein bisschen, sehr gut.
Is he swearing? No.
Swearing? No.
She was asking if you're swearing.
Of course not. Of course not. Alright, so yeah, I try to. Alright, so happy, nice, okay. So because it's am I a dancer, so I thought I will teach a lesson which I would usually not teach, something more difficult, more dynamic. A lesson which brings us from sitting and lying down to standing and down again. And we have 2 hours. Do we have 2 hours?
Yeah.
Okay. So the first hour we'll do a little bit slower, just to get into the mood, to get a feeling for how we should move, the possibilities for movement we have in the Feldenkrais method, and then we go to the more difficult stuff, and so we try not to get overwhelmed by difficulty, but just keep a feeling of introspection and acknowledging our own abilities and limits. I would suggest we start in. Do you want to start in sitting? We can start in sitting. Please put your hands like Gareth has his hands just behind you, and put your feet to standing. Okay. So to get into this position, everybody can do it. So I was making the suggestion, and you're now in the position. So this works very nice. We all have a working brain. And try to put your right knee on the floor towards the left, and your left knee on the floor towards the left. So just bring both knees onto the floors towards the left. Just try to do this movement, yeah, with the hands on the floor. And then try to touch the sole of your left foot to your right knee when you're on the floor. Just to, what do you have to do to get into the position where the sole of your left foot touches your right knee, and see if you can do that. If you can have just. It's not about seeing if you can do that, but see what you have to do to get into this position. And there's many things we could look at. We could go into a lot of detail with this movement. Maybe just try it to the other side as well, to the right, and see, is there any difference? Is there anything different? Like, is it easier, or is it more, does it feel like one side is more smoother? When you do it to one side, is your head free? You could look around, whereas to the other side, you have to focus more. We try to find little details. Was it detail or detail?
Details. More details.
Detail.
Details.
Detail.
Not that mine is better than yours, but.
Yeah, there's different accents.
Yeah.
All right, so that could be a question. What is different? And in order to find such differences, we have to get more quiet. So please come to lie onto your back. So this is the main goal of Feldenkrais, to be able to lie peacefully. Could be one of the many things we can achieve. So now you're on your back, which is different than sitting, obviously. Now the room is in front of you. All the space is in front of you. If you take yourself as the center of the world, so that's in front, and in your back there's the floor. Like you're glued to the floor. In your back, what is the back? Is the back your buttocks, or is the back your back, your shoulders, your neck, the back of your head, your heels? Because there's the room in front, you could lift your head. It would be possible to lift the head, which would mean to move the head forward. Could be strenuous, but it's possible. You can't move the head backwards because there's the floor, obviously. You can't move your legs, you can't move anything backwards. You're as low as it gets. And try to relax and to remove any expectations. I will just make a lot of movement suggestions, one at a time, and you just focus on any of these suggestions one at a time. Just observe your breathing, maybe. And then what else is there? We can hear the room, we can feel the room. You can feel the room, and you can feel yourself. You can feel your environment and yourself. Something outside of you and something inside of you. Is that a meaningful distinguish? This, what is it? Is it meaningful? Yeah, we need to know what's outside and what's inside. And then bring your attention to your neck, to your head, and roll your, no, don't roll. Just, roll. Roll your head a little bit. Where can it roll? It probably easiest to the left and to the right. Just a little bit. And try to notice your limits. Where is it easy to roll the hair? Where is it more difficult? Is it like a straight line, or is it a little curve? Is it the same to both sides? And take a break somewhere. Where would you rest your head? Do you rest your head in the center somewhere? Or do you rest your head to the side? Is there a center? Is there like a midline? Or usually the nose is a little bit to the left or a little bit to the right. It's maybe there's no exact midline. Maybe there is, but maybe it's comfortable to be a little bit to the left or a little bit to the right when you rest. And then please roll over to your left side, so you're on your left side, so that your right hip is on top of your left hip, or above your left hip. Your right shoulder is above your left shoulder. Is that okay with your head? Very flexible necks, very flexible chests here. That's all good. You could use your jacket maybe to put your head. What else do we have? Do we have cushions? Are these cushions? Anybody? You need one? One here, and there's more. I have 2 more cushions. One more. Straighten your left arm in front of you. Well, it's not really like straighten, just like put it, rest your left arm straight on the floor. And your right arm on top of your left arm. And then that's like a very common Feldenkrais movement. And slide your right hand a little bit forwards. Now your new forwards is always in front of you. So the floor is to the left, and slide your hand a little bit forwards and then a little bit backwards. The right hand, you slide the right hand a little bit forwards and a little bit backwards. So how do you do this? How do you produce such a movement? Is it like, where do you push against? Do you push with your, how do you do this movement of sliding your right hand forwards and backwards? Is it like, I try to keep your right elbow extended. So don't bend your right elbow. So the right hand is like on a stick. Your right arm is like a stick, and you push your right hand forwards and you drag it backwards. And for this, there might need to be a movement in your shoulder, might need to be a movement in your chest, in your hip, in your leg. Do you push against the floor with your left leg? How do you roll forwards and backwards? So, and that's one of the reasons why we lie down, so we can feel these tiny little details, nuances of what do I do when I do something. So that's the movement, and you can make it a little bit bigger in the sense of you can push your right hand further away from you or drag your right hand closer to your left elbow, and start to observe your head. So after a couple of movements, this movement, this sliding, gliding movement will become familiar, and focus on your head, on how your head travels. So your head rolls. It's like before we rolled the head lying on the back, but now you're on your left side and the head still rolls to the left and to the right, but it also needs to travel a bit on the floor in order to make room for the pushing and pulling movement of the right hand. Bit by bit, make this movement a little bit larger so that you roll more and more onto your back and then back onto your left side. So there's you just use everything you've got. You can move your legs, your feet, your pelvis. What's the parts? The chest, the ribs. And focus on your head. try to be as lazy as possible. Try to stay close to the floor. Don't lift the legs. Just stay as close to the floor as possible. Observe the rolling of your head, the distance your head is traveling. Your head might be even dragged from the left to the center. It might be quite a distance your head travels when you do this little push, pull, roll. Try to stay comfortable, try to just a lazy movement. You're just doing the bare minimum. It's like the opposite of, usually we are asked to perform well and to do a lot, but now it's like just do the bare minimum. Maybe not even that, just roll very slowly, take breaks. Try not to get behind your breath, so the breath shouldn't be disturbed. Stay close to the floor. Notice your legs, that you don't have put any tension into your legs. Everything just follows this little roll. Try to lead with your head now. Try to lead with your eyes, like look to the right to roll your head to the right, and look to the left to roll your head to the left, and follow with the rest of yourself. And yes, and this is purely for yourself. So the only one watching you is me and like 5,000 people on YouTube. Yeah, there might be a break somewhere where you just come to stop and breathe, and at some point roll back onto your back so that you kind of fall back onto your back. Then look with your eyes, your eyeballs, eye to the right. Let your head follow, and see if you can invite yourself, your entire self, to roll more onto your right side. What's the ingredients of this movement? What would you have to do to roll don't muscle your way onto your right side, but maybe at some point you have to bend your right knee to the right. At some point, yeah, you have to bring your left hand over your belly towards the right. Don't leave anything behind. But what's the sequence? What's a sensible sequence of things to do to just roll over lazily to the right, and notice how your head travels. So that's what I found for myself. The smallest movement is the eye movements. That's something that's easily available. Just a little bit to the eyeing to the left, eyeing to the right, and then let the head follow, and roll the neck, and then maybe the shoulder, and then it's maybe a twist of the chest, and then a leg has to fall, to bend, to follow, until you're more on your back and more on your side. And then roll back onto your back. Just let yourself fall onto your back and see where is this center. Is there. It's a funny idea to have a center. Maybe we don't. It's just like 2 arms, 2 legs, torso and a head. It's just a mathematical construct. And feel how you're resting, how you're breathing, where there is space to breathe. So when there is room, then there is space. In your back, there's the floor. You can breathe against the floor. You can breathe into the room. Then please roll over aside and come to sit and eventually come to stand. So there's this spot where we can still get up before falling asleep. Yeah, come up and just feel yourself in this position. That's just another position on the feet. And see how it is to roll your head to the left and roll your head to the right. Now there's no floor to roll the head on. Okay, so this was my little first part, and now because we have a workshop, we have other people we can work with. I would like to do a little partner exercise to learn more about this movement for ourselves in this regard. So I'm doing a short demonstration maybe first, and you just watch and then may I use you? Sure. Okay. I just demonstrate first. Please come back down onto the floor on your back. So we need another person. So there's a couple of things I need to consider when I look at him. You can see his head is hanging a little bit backwards. Is that easy to see? So it would be nice to have a little bit support under the head, so the head is not hanging. So this is different for everybody. So for some people the head hangs strongly backwards, for some it's just level. It depends on how well the spine can sink towards the floor. So for Stefan it would be nice to have a little something. If this would be like not a jacket but like a cushion would be better, but it's still, will it work? I'm not sure. Will it actually work?
For rolling the head, no.
For rolling the head, no, it doesn't work. May I borrow your blanket?
Yeah, you're not too folded.
Yeah?
Yeah, I've got another one I can give it to you.
Okay. Oh, we have pads. Thank you. Huh? Yes. Oh no, this might be too high then. Thank you. So this might be too high. This might be just right. A little bit better. So it depends on how you can sit on the floor. You can sit like this, or you can come a little bit closer if you're flexible. For me, it's not enough flexibility. Sit like this might be too far. So I choose something like this, whatever is available. This is a person with a nervous system. It's not just an object, but it's it's a real person, and I'm a real person, and I want to try rolling his head. I want to see the same thing what you did on your own, how it works for him if I roll his head instead of he rolling his own head. And yeah, so there's a head and there's a neck, and inside vertebrae, and they can move a little bit. And if I use a lot of force, of course, it rolls splendidly, but we start with the tiniest amount possible. How to touch a head, that's the that's the next question. Do we like take the hair or the ear? There's many ways to do it. So you can hold the head like this. So that's the first question. How do we do this? Or you can come like this, and whatever method you use, it will affect the way you roll. So you can try a couple of things. And then we have two directions. One is to the left and one is to the right. And so of course you have to sit properly yourself. If you're in a spot where it's difficult for you to do a movement, the whole thing will be more difficult. But it's just about experiencing. It's nothing serious. We're just playing a little bit here. So I want to see, is it possible to roll his head? So I try to roll to the left, and I can feel here it stops. And if I go back and forth a couple of times, it goes a little bit further, but there's quite a stop here. So this can have many reasons. Maybe the shoulder is too heavy. So if I would lift the shoulder, maybe the head would roll down the hill, because I'm creating a little. Is it slope? Slope. Now it rolls. The head rolls. So you can try these things where I can make a little a little hill down here, just have his head roll to the left and to the right. And the thing I want you to notice is that it's maybe not as easy as it looks like. So when people roll their head on their own, they might cross limits. Maybe it's not, or maybe you yourself use a little bit too much force to roll the head. So when you work with another person, you can feel, it rolls better to the right. And now I can see it looks more like so I start to have a image for me of and then it becomes more easy when I do it a little bit. I can try to lift the shoulder. Where do you touch your shoulder to lift the shoulder? There's a little bone here, the shoulder blade. You can try to lift it. It might be very heavy. Yeah, just to get a feeling of rolling somebody else's head without trying to achieve anything. Just to feel the details. Could be interesting to try with 2 or 3 different people. So we just like try with each other. Or if you just want to watch, you can just watch. It depends on you. Just a little bit, just to have this, to have another body to touch and to try it, and then we try it again on our own, because it will change, I think, when you have connected with another head. Yeah. So there might be like a first movement, and then a second, and a third, and you can later on see if you put your arms in a different position, like with the palms up or with the palms down. These things might affect how the head rolls. You can see how much the head travels. Yeah, it's interesting. You can see when you swallow or when you move the eyes, it affects the rolling. And if it's gentle enough, it can feel quite nice, actually. All right, then please come back to your spot or on your back. Interlace your hands, your fingers, and put your head inside your hands, so the hands behind your head. The fingers interlaced behind the head. So there's like 2 ways to interlace the fingers, a couple of positions where you could put the hand, but that's like your preferred way. That's the first thing you would do when I ask you to do this. Now, move the head a little bit to the left and back again. How to do this? Move your hands a little bit to the left and back again. Keep your elbows on the floor. So, move your head and your hands a little bit to the left and back to the center. And keep looking forward towards the ceiling. Don't roll your head this time, but drag your head a little bit to the left and back to center. So I already suggested many ways to do this. You can move your head, or you can move your arms. You can drag your head you can use everything you have got to do this movement, a little bit to the left and a little bit back to center. So in Feldenkrais we often just do one side first, so we focus on just started with the left side to see how it is on the left side and then back to center. That might be a matter of the writing reflex, so we're trying to go deep and to touch some basic stuff that's built into our nervous system, like reflexes. Like when you touch a hot stove, you will retract your hand and you come back more closer to center. You will right yourself. So you move your head a little bit to the left. You can stay there for a couple of seconds and then just come back to center. And then do the same thing to the right. And there might be a little bit, there might be freedom of movement. There might be a couple of things that happen, like rolling of the head, but it's not a necessity. It's keep your head more or less forward, just drag your head to the right and then back to center again. And all the movements we're doing now fit together to, in the end, create a way to get up. So actually, we break down a large movement into many little pieces, and that's just one ingredient, that's one little slide. Okay, then let go of this, put your arms next to your torso, next onto your side. Put your arms like in a 45-degree angle, so not up shoulder height and not close to your body, but something in between, so that your arms are like in a 45-degree angle. And then again, roll your head a little bit and see how far your head rolls and translates on the floor actually. There's a, a movement. And come back to center and try this to the left side. Roll your head to the left and back to center. Then put your right hand behind your head. And move your head a little bit to the left and try to come up onto your left elbow. So that's a big thing now. To move your head to the left and try to come on, to lean onto your left elbow. What do we have to do to arrive in this situation where you lean on your left elbow? So you have to peel yourself off the floor onto the left elbow. Very nice. So you probably have to bend your left knee to the floor. When you roll your head to the left, or you move your head to the left and bend your left knee to the left and your right knee to the left and try to come up onto your left elbow. So I have seen many people fail in this movement, but you're doing great. You're doing great. Yes, it's a difficult movement to come up onto your left elbow and then go down again. Instead of holding your head, try to reach with your right arm. Try to reach in, let go of your head and with your right arm reach in front of you, in front somewhere. So your arm, yes, like if there would be, bless you, if there would be someone invisible taking your hand and go back down again, and then, yeah, what's the good moment to lift your head? That's the question.
Okay.
So that's, if you lift it too late, it could be more difficult to come up. Then also try to reach with your right hand, and come back, come back, come back. Okay, and then, yeah, and put your left elbow more in a 45-degree angle, so you can come up like this, and then down. Yes, that's one solution, of course, to push the floor with your right hand. And then the next time, try the same thing to your right side. So you lean, you roll onto your right side and lean onto your right elbow, yes, to come up. And go down. Yeah. Do this 2 or 3 times and then take a short rest. Yeah, there's like an edge to overcome.
Slowly is harder than...
Yeah. If we use velocity, but then we don't feel the details and we miss something. So it's not important to get this like super beautiful. It's just like it's just a one movement of many, and all the movements will interlace and help each other. So please come to sit again. With the hands, with leaning against your hands and with your feet standing. And again, like we did in the very beginning, put your left knee to the left and your right knee to the left, so your both legs, both knees touch the floor, and your left foot is touching your right knee. Very nice. Left foot, yeah, stay in this position just a little bit with both knees on the floor. Maybe change your hands a little bit, see where can you put your hands, where does it make sense to put your hands, further behind or closer to your buttocks, or your hands a little bit further apart or closer to each other. And then stand your knees again, stand your feet again, so that the knees are pointing towards the ceiling. And then try to the right, yes. Try how is it on the other side. So there has to be quite a twist in the spine. And try to keep your head, don't stiffen your neck, just keep your head, your neck flexible, so you could still look around, see what's happening in the room. And we try to get comfortable with this kind of side-sitting situation. Just ease into it. And then get your feet to stand again and try it again to the right side. Try like two or three times to the right side. Take your time to get a feeling in yourself for this funny position. Then start to change over to the left, over the center to the right. And what about the hands? So allow one hand to come off the floor. Which one is it? Which one makes sense? Yes, so when you move your knees to the left, it's the right hand that comes off. And if you move your knees to the right, to the floor, is it your right hand comes off? No, it's your left hand. Yes, if the knees go to the move to the right, then the left hand comes off. So let that happen and observe the difference of having both hands on the floor and allow one hand to lift off. It just feels a bit different and it makes for a little bit of a different movement. So it's less of a twist when you let the hand go off the floor. Mm-hmm. Come, stay in the side sitting position for a second. Yes, get a feeling for this position. So your knees are flopped to the side, both knees touch the floor. You're propped against the arms, just so you have a image where all your things are. Okay, and then come up to stand, please. Now the big question is, please put your knees in the same position as you had them just right now. So both knees touch the floor on one side. So flop your knees over, so you're sitting. How does this work? Because it's quite a way down. And then come back up again. Make this a reversible movement. Of course you can use your hand. You can use your both hands or one hand close to your, yes, it's flopping the knees to the side to come, yes, it's quite a way down. And take your time, yeah, to find how to make this transition from standing to sitting. Take care of your knees, be careful, so you can, maybe one side feels safer than the other side. So how can we improve this movement? Please come to sit again. So that's what we want to work on and what we have been working on already. Yeah, put both hands behind, lean against both hands. And let your knees drop to one side. On the floor. Mm-hmm. Now, instead of just standing your feet, stay low, but stand on your feet like in a knee. Is it kneeling? No, it's like a. How would you describe this movement? You come up onto your feet.
Squatting.
Squatting, in a squatting position, but you lean against your hands or your hand. Just come up like that. Your pelvis is up in the air and come back down again in this side sitting. So
the same side. You sit on the same side.
The same side, yeah. So we do the same
from side to side.
later. So we do one side first. Reposition your hands so you don't feel too much strain, or you can lean against your knuckles if that's easier. Just how would you make this movement easy? So you come onto your feet, your weight is onto your feet like in a squatting position, and then back, both knees on the floor. So at first we look at the movement to make it possible at all, to get like an overall, and then we start to work on the details to make it more efficient, to eliminate all surplus effort. Maybe both knees don't move at the same time. Maybe they don't move in the same direction. Maybe one knee moves forward while the other knee moves sideways. So we have hip joints, both are ball joints. There's so many possibilities for movement. How can you make this more and more efficient? So do we still have a structure here? So it's to the left, and then it's, if you like, to the right, and then it's a combination of both, just that you're clear what you're doing, not just moving around, but either it's to the left or to the right, or a transition over your standing feet. And okay, take a short break. Yeah, maybe on your back. Just to have like a break. What is a break? It's like a pause, something. We stop doing something, we do something else for a couple of seconds or minutes. So that's a pause or a break. And we wait for the breath to calm down, to become more even again. Start with rolling your head a little bit again. Maybe the eyes to the right and the head to the right, the eyes to the left, the head to the left, just a little bit. Just start small, and with every new attempt, with every new go, make it a little bit bigger. Have your arms in a 45-degree angle towards or away from your torso. And start to make the rolling or the transition of the head bigger and bigger until you lean on one elbow. So the movement larger and larger. So you have to move everything. You have to bend the knees to a side. You have, yeah. So help with whatever you think is useful to roll onto your elbow, and eventually you will end up in a side-sitting position with the same leg position. So your right foot is touching your left knee, or your left knee is touching your right foot. Try to find, yes. Or you can reach with one arm to come up until you are in this side-sitting position. With both knees on the floor. Yes. And then when you come down, you have your, and then you can also, if you like, try the other side. If it's not the trouser, which is an obstacle, allow your knee to draw up a little bit further. So you really, you really come up in this side sit, and then, down again, and then you go like this, and then you go like this, and allow your knee to come up further. If that feels like it makes sense. Yeah. So these things match. These parts match like a puzzle. Can you see? Can you feel how they match together? Partially. Come to sit again. With leaning against your hands. And drop your knees to the left or to the right, as you wish. So that starts to feel more familiar. And then try the other side and let your hand, maybe one hand, leave the floor and go from left to right. And take your time. I really like pauses, so if I train for myself, I don't do that many movements. And instead of your hip rolling on the floor, you can move your hip into the air, so you're in a squat, and then come down on the other side. And when you're as far up as the squat, you can as well come up and come down, or just a little bit higher, and then back down. Don't go up all the way. Maybe that breaks.
It's about to go to the ceiling.
Yeah. That breaks the movement if you go up too high. Just a little bit. So don't strain. And then, once the knees are to the left, complete the circle and come onto your back. And take a short rest on your back. medium long rest on your back. Please roll onto your right side. With your right arm long on the floor and your left arm on top of your right arm. So have your hands in front of your shoulder, not in front of your head and not in front of your belly, but in front of your shoulders. Pillow.
Thank you.
And start to slide your right hand a little bit forwards and backwards, and feel how your head rolls forwards and backwards. So this is a rolling and side lying. Then roll back onto your back. And try these two different directions, to roll onto your right or to roll to come up into side sitting. And then there's everything in between. So try to explore these two different things. Rolling on your right side or rolling to come up to side sitting. And make it lazy. So you work with counterbalance, with the weight of your legs, with shifting weights, like your head has weight, your arm has weight, shifting weight, counterbalancing movements to make it as easy as possible to come up into side sitting. You can reach with your arm, you have to lift your head in the right moment. If you lift too late, it's difficult. If you lift too early, it's difficult. And try to make this reversible, come up and go down again. And the next time you're on your back again on the floor, try the other side. So you start to get used to this kind of side sitting. Yeah. So that's, you change over from one side to the other on your back, and then also try your legs to change from one side over to the other by lifting your pelvis into a squatting position, flop over the knees to the other side and come to the other side. So in the end you will have two half circles, or a back side and the front side part of a circle, or a full circle with two different directions to come up into a squatting position, flop over your knees and go down again. Yeah. And then not only try the squatting position, but come a little bit up towards standing when you're on the front. So you both hands leave the floor, so you come up into standing a bit, and then you go down on the floor again. Okay, and then once you're on the floor again, stay there, take a short break. So this will be better tomorrow, and it will improve on its own for some time, and then it will disappear again. So it would be good to have like time until tomorrow and do it again, and do it next week again. But these are simple movements. If you do them just a couple of times, like for a couple of minutes, a short review, it will get smoother. It will get easier. That's just an example for a movement. It could be anything. It could be playing the piano or writing Chinese characters, or that's how movement learning works. Seems like we need time to process that. The nervous system needs time to integrate. Let's try one last variation. With as little effort as possible, roll to one side to come onto your elbow, and then come onto your knees. Push it. No? Kasha is outside. Okay. Onto the knees. Not like this. No. Come back down again. When you're on your back and you roll over your elbow, how would it look like to come onto your knees? With the legs like we had it the whole hour. Yes, like this. Yes, and then down again. And then try the other side. Come onto your knees. And once you're onto your knees, you can turn the heels to the other side and come down on the other side. Yeah, that's another way to do it. Okay, and then take a last rest on your back if you like. Feel how the floor feels now, how resting on your back feels now, maybe as compared to in the beginning. Now, bring your attention to your breathing. Just be aware when you breathe in, when you have a pause, when you breathe out, when you have a pause. Just observe. Observe where you can breathe. Breathe in the room, in your chest, to your sides, to your back. How far down you can feel it, to your belly, to diaphragm, your pelvic floor. Does your breathing affect your neck? Does your spine change because of the act of breathing? Does it lengthen and shorten? Can you feel your heartbeat? Maybe in your fingers, maybe somewhere in your chest. So if you would roll your head, which would be the direction? It needs to be left or right? And then plan the movement. Plan the movement of rolling your head to roll just in your mind, in your mind's eye, in your kinesthetic thinking. Just try to feel it somehow. How you would roll over one elbow, how you would bend your knees, how you would arrive in side sitting, how you would flop the knees up to come to a squatting position, and then how you would stand up. So plan this movement. And then take your time for real to do this movement as good as it gets. And take a few steps. Just feel how you balance your head, how you feel your feet, how you feel yourself. Stay with yourself. Don't make connections in the room. Just feel how you balance yourself, how you shift your weight. Maybe turn your head a little bit to the left and to the right. Just feel how easy, how far, how it affects your shoulders, how it affects the way you walk. You can feel the soles of your feet, your breathing. All right, and then maybe review the thing tomorrow again to get better. Okay, thank you.